Next on the news. The high water may be gone, but flood victims are needing a new life vest, except they're getting denied and drowning in debt. An exclusive interview with our correspondent who just spent time in devastated Kentucky. Then a story of resilience. A Queens chapel is back tonight after a year of repairs. The Bishop of Brooklyn is heading there for a special blessing. Plus, New York City's newest street, named for a priest of the people, one who fought for social justice till the day he died. Then 103 feeling free. Sister Jean, the basketball legend, shares her secrets.
Go Ramblers.
I'm Michelle Powers. Currents News starts now. Over and over again, no matter where devastation hits in the United States. The federal government approves millions of dollars to help, and FEMA says that money gets distributed. But then there's always people left behind. The national reporter for the tablet, John Lavenberg, stood side by side with flood victims from eastern Kentucky all last week. We'll speak with him in a second, but first, the story of those ill-prepared and underinsured. The high water may be gone, but some flood victims are needing a new life raft in the form of federal assistance.
Gave us firsthand accounts of the destruction that his family and friends had witnessed, and it's really hard to hear.
August Johansson and his group of Lexington lawyers are packing up and heading to Whitesburg to extend a hand to residents who have been denied help from FEMA after the governor there complained that the federal government was denying too many requests.
Pro bono work is something that lawyers are not required to do, but it's encouraged because we do have these special skills that not everyone has.
Getting off your feet after a natural disaster is daunting, and the paperwork is confusing. Less than 1% of the hard-hit counties in Kentucky had flood insurance. And remember, homeowners insurance doesn't cover floods.
It's really hard to get access to these funds if you don't have the resources necessary.
He hopes this is the first trip of many, and that other professionals across the state can also put their expertise to work.
Kentucky is all about community and family and friends and supporting your friends and neighbors, and there's nothing more important.
Kentucky's governor said he doesn't yet have numbers that show just how many people were denied by FEMA. The agency promised those numbers, but still hasn't produced them. John Lavenberg, the national correspondent for the Tablet and Crux, was on the ground with some of those people just last week. John, welcome back. How was your trip?
It was good, Michelle. I'm happy to be back in New York after what was a trip of a lot of devastation in eastern Kentucky.
All right, so John, let's talk about the most devastated parts. They're the hardest hit areas in Kentucky. No surprise here, were places with high poverty rates. Let's take a look at two of the counties that you went to that were hit pretty hard. There's Breathitt County and Perry County, both nearly 30% poverty rate. What federal response, if any, did you see in those counties?
You know, Michelle, when you go around those counties, you see multiple locations set up where FEMA, Red Cross, U.S. Small Business Association, they're all set up for people to go in with their paperwork and see what assistance is available to them. So people come in with paperwork, insurance, residency, things of that nature, and they talk through their options about how much aid they can get in different things. And what I can tell you is seeing people go in and out, they were asking questions about are there grants available opposed to loans, worried about the cost, and a lot of them left with more paperwork than they came in with, showing that it's going to be a long process for a lot of them.
All right, so speaking of paperwork, we just saw those lawyers in that package that they're trying to help with pro bono work, but Catholic Charities has really been working on the ground there. Tell me about what they're doing.
Absolutely. So Catholic Charities from the beginning, you know, they started off with the immediate emergency response, you know, supplies, things they needed, towels, sleeping bags, baby food, non-perishables, different things that people needed in the immediate aftermath. Now, starting this week, they're shifting that response to bringing in case managers and counselors to really work on the long-term recovery and help people that, you know, don't have the means to necessarily help themselves through this.
Speaking about the means, let's take a look at the numbers. Catholic Charities Lexington raised over $670,000 in donations. Plus, we know that Catholic Charities USA is giving another $250,000. So what's still needed then? And these are huge numbers, right?
Very huge. And something important to note is, there's less than 0.5% of Catholics in this part of Kentucky. So this isn't a booming Catholic population by any means. And so, you mentioned those numbers there. On the local level, in one of those parishes in Breathitt County, a local community has donated over $20,000. And the parish life coordinator there has basically told me they just have an Amazon wish list that they just keep running through things people need. They call up, get what they need, and they also have a center set up with supplies and different things. A Catholic Charities USA laundry truck is in their parking lot, so they're doing whatever they can to meet the needs of a community that, again, isn't very Catholic, but they recognize that need regardless.
So these cleanup efforts, they're ongoing. Like you said, the laundry truck, they seem to be never ending. But there's a video you want us to watch, so let's watch it really quick. What's going on here? What's with the smoke? Were there fires?
No, so when I was in Perry County, someone had told me that if you drive a little further to one of the towns there, you'll see a lot of destruction. And so I was driving, and then I saw what you saw on the screen right there. And what was on that property before the floods was somebody's trailer home. And when I pulled up, the 3 people you saw working were just trying to clear that debris. That smoke was them basically burning it, trying to clear the property. And that man across the street who owned the property wasn't one of the ones working, but he was across the street watching them work, just, shaking his head and kind of speechless again, even though it's been weeks now, just seeing his property gone after the floods.
Oh, it's unthinkable. But John, we have about 20 seconds left. Tell me, if you remember one thing from this trip, what is it?
There was this woman, that I met there. Her name was Brandy, and I spent basically the day with her. I went up to her home with the local Catholic church there. She showed me her current living, which was a tent on a friend's yard on higher ground, showed me her trailer home that was destroyed on the lower ground by the floods, and her home right next door where it used to be that was destroyed by the floods last year. And just hearing her heartbreaking story, her family, her 5 children, just going day by day trying to figure out what's next, and she's not giving up hope. And she's not even Catholic, she's Christian, but she is more than thankful for the Catholic Church and everything they've done for her.
All right, the Catholic Church not letting anyone down. John Lavenberg, national correspondent for the Tablet and Crux, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Michelle.
If you would like to donate, there is still time to help. Just go to CatholicCharitiesLexington.org and click on Disaster Services to donate. Almost a year after Tropical Storm Ida flooded New York City, a Queens parish is finally ready to reopen their lower church.
The lower church is now completely flooded.
This was what St. Mary's Winfield pastor, Father Christopher O'Connor, was dealing with in September 2021. Rushing waters, reducing walls to wooden frames, the electrical system ruined, and all that was left of the church's brand new Adoration Chapel were the floors. They immediately got to work, determined not to lose faith, all leading up to tonight when Brooklyn Bishop Robert Brennan will bless the hard work and celebrate Mass in the new sacred space. That Mass will happen at 7:30 tonight, Monday, August 22nd. You can watch the whole celebration, including the Mass and blessing, on the church's website. If you missed that, don't worry. Both Currents News and the Tablet will have a full report tomorrow. We'll tell you about the Mass, how reconstruction efforts went, and all about Bishop Brennan's special blessing. Another 3 busloads of migrants arrived at the Port Authority Sunday morning from Texas. This was the largest number of arrivals in a single day, 140, including 10 children. Relief groups were on hand as the city looks to house the migrants in hotels and get their kids enrolled in schools for next month. Meantime, in the Bronx, hundreds of new arrivals lined up outside Lincoln Hospital Sunday, where they received food, free phones, school supplies, and Medicaid coverage. City Hall believes that 4,000 people have been bused from Texas in the recent weeks. New York is now reporting its first case of monkeypox in a child. According to a new report from the state's health department, the patient is younger than 18 years old and lives outside of New York City. However, no further information has been provided. The case is sparking concerns ahead of the new school year, and in response, Governor Kathy Hochul said the state is working to ensure that schools are prepared to address any potential cases.
We did talk about getting information out, especially in high schools, There could be some vulnerability among populations there. And so we're talking about how to get that information in a very assertive way to the schools.
As of Monday, New York City reported nearly 2,800 monkeypox cases. The virus has been declared a public health emergency in this city and the rest of the country. The NYPD Hate Crimes Task Force is busy today investigating after a monument was defaced at Holocaust Memorial Park in Brooklyn. Somebody used a permanent black marker to draw swastikas, curses, and graffiti in Russian. The park is in Sheepshead Bay, where many Holocaust survivors relocated after World War II. So far this year, the city has counted more than 150 acts of anti-Semitism. Meanwhile, over at the Vatican, Pope Francis is speaking out about the persecution of Christians in Nicaragua. Police have detained several clergymen, including a bishop, critical of the country's president, Daniel Ortega. According to Nicaraguan authorities, the bishop has been accused of organizing and inciting violent groups against the population. However, they offered no evidence to back up the accusations. Bishop Ronaldo Alvarez has been a key religious voice in discussions of Nicaragua's future since 2018, when the Catholic Church first acted as a mediator between the government and protesters demanding free and fair elections. But Nicaragua's president maintains that those protests were part of a Washington-backed ploy to unseat him, accusing the bishops of being in on it. And since then, Nicaragua has increased pressure on the church, targeting Catholic journalists. Here's Inez San Martin from Crux on the issue.
But it became really, really bad for the Catholic Church in the past 3 to 4 months, particularly after the papal representative in Nicaragua was expelled by the government of Daniel Ortega and his wife, Rosario Murillo, because once that happened, there were no longer official relationships between the Catholic Church and the government.
Before being detained by the government officials, Bishop Alvarez was being held under house arrest for protesting the government's shutdown of 7 Catholic radio stations. A priest in Queens is now part of New York City. Reverend Andrew L. Struzieri Way unveiled in Rosedale over the weekend. A crowd stood at the corner of 137th Road and Brookville Boulevard as the street was dedicated to the former pastor of St. Clair's Church. Father Andy spent nearly 50 years of his life living the gospel by reaching out to those in need. Shortly after he passed, Catholics and community leaders alike banded together to honor him. His niece, Chiara Montalto Giannini, spoke to Currents News' Christine Persichetti about what her uncle meant to her and how he would have reacted to the huge honor.
He really was. We used to say that we were peas in a pod. He had a really great, warm way about him and a really silly sense of humor. I miss him terribly, but I know that he is somewhere in heaven smiling really broadly right now. He loves this.
To continue Father Andy's legacy of helping others, there is a memorial fund in his name. And to learn more about it and to make a donation, just go to CatholicFoundationBQ.org/Father Andy. It was the second swing at the 27th Bishops Golf Classic today. Friends and faithful hitting the green once again at North Hills Country Club in Manhasset. The first time golfers tried to tee off was last month, but that event was canceled halfway through after severe thunderstorms rolled through the area. The annual golf outing helps to raise funds and awareness of charities that support the mission of the Catholic Church in the Diocese of Brooklyn. This year's beneficiary was Cristo Rey Brooklyn High School, which helps educate young people from underserved communities. There's a lot more news headed your way. It was the chance of a lifetime. This team became the first from their state to enter the Little League World Series, but their thoughts were with a teammate miles away. The world-famous Sister Jean celebrates a big birthday, the gift given to her by Loyola University, coming up. And this baby was barely a month old, but he and his parents got a surprise most Catholics could only dream of.
We dedicate this entire broadcast to the continued improvement of Easton Oliverson. We know you're watching, Tank. Hang in there, buddy.
A Little League team remembering one of their own, placing his cleats, glove, and hat on the field so he could be there in team spirit. Meanwhile, miles away, Easton Oliverson, alert, watching it all unfold from his hospital bed, holding a sign saying, "Let's go, Utah." It was the first time a team from the Buckeye State made it to the Little League World Series. But for those young players, the trip was bittersweet. They were missing one of their own. Easton Oliverson suffered a severe brain injury after falling out of his bunk bed. But as Jason Carroll reports, he is making a miraculous recovery thanks to the power of prayer.
All right.
Oh, buddy, food.
Right.
With every scoop, Easton Oliverson is defying the odds.
Just like you're scooping a ball in left field. Right?
He's awake, alert, and communicating.
Do you feel like it's going the right way, or does it feel like it's getting stuck?
The 12-year-old Little Leaguer now out of intensive care. His father says it was just days ago when doctors told him he may not survive.
He has his mobility, his brain function, and it's not by coincidence.
Go Easton!
Easton is a player on the Snow Canyon Little League team, the pride of Utah. They're the first team from the state to make it to the Little League World Series in its 75-year history. So you can imagine all the excitement the team, his family had leading up to it. All that crushed during an unimaginable accident when Easton fell out of his bunk bed while sleeping and hit his head.
It was so heart-wrenching, and couldn't believe what we had just experienced hours before, living the highs of highs, and now having to feel like Easton is now fighting for his life.
Doctors told them Easton had severely fractured his skull and punctured an artery outside his brain.
There are some children that arrive in a very, very poor neurologic state, and Easton's state upon arrival was among the poorest I've seen.
Despite the injuries, Easton surprised doctors at Geisinger Janet Weiss Children's Hospital when hours after surgery, he showed signs of improvement. The family says it's not just doctors they have to thank.
The only reason that he's at this point in such a short period of time is because of our Heavenly Father and the way that he is showing people now that miracles do happen.
We 100% attribute that to the prayers that we've been receiving across the nation. We know, and the doctors agree, there was divine intervention here.
That was Jason Carroll reporting. Unfortunately, Snow Canyon lost their games, but more importantly, Easton's father, Jace, says Easton is going to win. He's expected to fly back to Utah Tuesday and continue his recovery. Jace says they are just going to keep asking for prayers, continuous prayers. St. Bartholomew Catholic Church in Elmhurst held an award ceremony over the weekend to congratulate nearly 60 teens who participated in their summer soccer tournament. The 6-week program gave young athletes the opportunity to spend their days on the field instead of being stuck indoors. And with the World Cup right around the corner, they competed like the champs, reigning from Argentina, Portugal, Brazil, and other countries. Thankfully, they won't have to wait 4 years till they face off again. Plans are already in the works for another tournament next summer. Now to the perfect fan. The chaplain of Loyola University Chicago's men's basketball team, the world-famous Sister Jean Dolores Schmidt, just turned 103 years old. And of course, there was a celebration. Trey Ward is in Chicago with the story.
We did well at 100, but this is surpassing the 100.
On a day meant for scattered showers, the clouds parted.
I can't believe that the sun came out.
For a woman who's been celebrated on August 21st
Happy birthday.
For the past 103 years.
Well, perhaps I better get better prepared to get to heaven. I'm having so much fun now.
And on her birthday, Loyola University Chicago honoring its basketball chaplain, Sister Jean.
It is about saying thank you.
As she was greeted by a chorus of family, friends, and supporters on campus where her legacy will be on full display. Near this red line stop on campus, now called the Sister Jean CTA Plaza.
And to dedicate the plaza, that's something very special. Well, I'll come more frequently, I know that. I know that for sure.
Donned in her maroon and gold, whether off or on the sidelines cheering for the Ramblers, her impact goes well beyond the court as an educator and mentor.
You have graced the lives of generations of students.
And with her secrets of longevity.
Well, I eat well, I pray well, I hope I pray well, and I sleep well.
Her impact will hopefully stay in arm's reach for more years to come.
And of course, I have to say what the others did. Go Ramblers.
That was Trey Ward reporting. Apart from having a plaza named after her, Sister Jean is also being honored with her very own bobblehead, and she's expected to throw the first pitch at Tuesday's Chicago Cubs game, 103, feeling free. Still to come on Currents News, a story that will melt your heart.
I like it. I like puppies. I haven't had one in a long time.
From being rescued to helping spread happiness, a group of Beagle puppies pay a special visit to some seniors. And it was a surprise that was well worth the wait. How a trip to St. Peter's Square led to the crackdown on a mass breeding facility in Virginia led to the rescue of thousands of beagles. And now they're out and about spreading the kind of happiness that only a puppy can bring. The rescues paid a special visit to a group of seniors at a nursing home. And as Heather Graff reports, it was puppy love at first sight.
Just when you thought the beagles rescued from the Envigo breeding facility in Virginia couldn't possibly get any cuter, they're taking a field trip.
Oh, it's okay, sweetie pie. It's okay.
Making some new friends at a nursing home in Fairfax County.
Oh, I like it. I like puppies. I haven't had one in a long time.
The staff here at ProMedica Skilled Nursing had heard about the ongoing mission to save 4,000 beagles that were bred to be sold to labs for experimentation. And so they reached out to Homeward Trails Animal Shelter to ask whether any of the recently rescued pups might be able to stop by here.
We're always looking for fun activities for our residents, and I thought, you know, there's nothing more fun or that would bring joy to the residents than having some puppies visit.
Yes, you're a good puppy.
Joy that we saw plenty of on Wednesday afternoon.
Likes my nose and my mouth.
And without question, it was a two-way street with both puppies and people soaking up every second.
Very warm, cuddly, wanting to be held, like being held. Oh, we used to have a beagle, and it's so nice to see a puppy again. I love puppies.
Making this a successful outing for these sweet 6-week-old beagles, eager to be loved and to give love as well.
So I think everybody wins. Yeah. It's wonderful, and that's, you know, that was the whole point of bringing in the puppies today, and we couldn't be happier.
That was Heather Graff reporting. As for the rest of the 4,000 rescued puppies, animal shelters across the country have started receiving the dogs, and many have been put up for adoption so they can find their forever homes. Finally tonight, it was a surprise blessing from the Pope. Sherwin and Sweti Arakal woke up early last week to attend the Holy Father's general audience, together with their 2 young children. But lo and behold, Pope Francis picked on the family and blessed their newborn child.
We don't have any special, nothing. We don't have any special request to take the blessings from, but they saw us with the small baby, they take us to inside. So we are very happy actually today, very happy.
Originally from India, the couple moved to Rome to get married and start a family. As per Indian tradition, they waited until their newborn was 40 days old before taking the baby outside. And when that happened, their first stop was St. Peter's Basilica. Imagine the first person you meet is the Pope. That is Currents News. I'm Michelle Powers. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.